Okay, we are live on YouTube, and let me just get Amazon going here. I'm only going to be about an hour, but these shouldn't take that long to play with. And I'm just waiting for the Amazon stream here. So what I got in today, actually yesterday, maybe the day before that, I can't remember, are these remotes, media remotes for the Xbox, and they're made by 8bitdo's, who makes all those cool controllers. And, you know, the Xbox is becoming more and more of a, you know what I got to do is I got to update my title here on Amazon. Looks like I can't do that because I started it already. Can I edit this? Does not look like it. So what these do is they allow you to control the media portions of your Xbox without having to take the controller out. And you know, that's a personal preference thing, but I have found that using a game controller is not as intuitive for watching streaming content as a remote control might be. So that might be a reason to consider this. And bear with me for 1 second because I am also going to have the Inspiration 4 stream just kind of running here. They did start the stream.
And they are currently
and
their Teslas.
You know, what's happening now is they're going out to the pad. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this stream up and we can refer to it. I'm not going to be able to cover it tonight, so because I have something I have to go do. But what I am going to do is I'm going to have it running just in the background here so we can keep an eye on it in case something interesting happens. They're not launching till like 8 o'clock tonight, so I don't anticipate anything happening while we're streaming here because we're only going to be streaming until about 5, which is 3 hours before launch. But they are on their way out to the pad as we speak. And they're likely going to use the potty up there. Here, so I'll pull up, here, we'll look at this a little bit. So this is 2 of the crew members. So Jared Isaacman's on the left, and Chris Sandusky is on the right. Now, Chris is the guy that won the raffle. So he donated to St. Jude, and he got a seat. And what they're doing right now is driving out to a SpaceX facility where they're going to get suited up. So they're not actually going to be getting suited up inside the vehicle assembly building, which is usually where they come out of. There's a place there. So this is all SpaceX. So they are kind of like running their own space program now. So we'll just we'll let that keep running in the background. If anything of interest happens, I will pull it up. So yeah, so we're going to look at these media remotes. And let me get some hellos here from all of our usuals. So we'll say hello to some friends, and then we'll kick it off. So we've got William Wilkinson, Patrick Chang, Me Bro, Me B Pro. Connor is here. George is here. Arif is here. All my usual friends are here. Handheld Obsession is here. BB Garnett is here. Robert Branch is here. Sonic Team is wondering, are these infrared or wireless? These are infrared, so they're not going to work with anything other than the Xbox. But it does work across multiple Xbox consoles. So what I've got on my desk right now, let me just move everything a little bit here. I have my Xbox One X, and I have a Series X and a Series S as well. And before I do the review, I'll test it with everything. But I am pretty sure that these will work with all of the Xboxes, but they are infrared only, which means the IR window of your Xbox console will need to be visible to the remote. So there's no pairing here. These will work just like out of the box. At least that's what they say. Connor wants to know, am I getting the iPhone 13? Yeah, I'm going to probably get the Pro. And the reason is that they support that ProRes video recording, which is what I use in the studio, and for editing. And actually, that's going to be a big help to me because right now, whenever I shoot B-roll, it has to like transcode and render, and the files get huge. So what's nice about this is that I can actually record my B-roll from the phone with the same format I record all of my regular shots with. So that to me was interesting. So it'll be cool. Handheld Obsession says the remote is a must-have. I can never remember what the button does what in the control. Exactly. So this is going to be a lot more intuitive. And then it looks like they mapped the buttons here to the top. So we'll take a look at that in a minute. And yeah, I think the iPhone 13 should have been called the iPhone 12s. That's what it feels like to me. Eric's Variety Channel is here. And yes, I do have my TiVo. I've been meaning to look at that again because a lot of folks say it's gotten better. So I might take it back out and look at it. To be honest, what's happened is that I think the Google Chromecast with Google TV, that their native Android TV box is so good for the price point. There's like no reason to buy anything else because I think they kind of just made the perfect one, in my opinion. But I'll take a look at it because I should look at it again. This question I am not sure about. I think it might work with the 360. I do have a 360 upstairs, so I'll try that out. So we'll take a look at it. William wants to know, do I record the stream? So right now I'm using vMix with my camcorders, but I am going to be getting a new set of cameras soon, I think. So we'll see what they come up with. And Bazith says that they're annoyed that the 13 mini is being treated like a second-class device. So what does the mini not do that the other ones do? Is it just the video formats, maybe? I think what's happening is they're not selling a lot of those minis. I think that's what's happening with that. Eric does not have a controller. Oh, his PS3 is just a media remote. That's funny. And Connor says, I think they should have, the 14, they should have called the iPhone. Yeah, I think having anything with a 13 is bad luck. So we'll see what happens there. So I will continue to keep an eye on the SpaceX stream and see what we get. I don't anticipate anything of interest really happening just yet because it is very early in the launch process. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is the big one. Now there's a large one and a smaller one. So this obviously is the bigger of the two. And it's got some tape around it here, so let's get that tape off. And my understanding is this is backlit too. At least that's what I think I read. And it's got some batteries in here too. So it comes with the batteries. But this sticker is like very much stuck on here. This is not one of those easy peel stickers, unfortunately. Let's see. There it goes. Oh, now it's peeling off. Okay. There we go. Yeah, so just to show you like what Fate is like. You remember I applied for that Inspiration 4 mission. So I could have been like being driven out to a launch pad right now, but instead I am unboxing remote controls on YouTube. That's life for you, but it's okay. I'm perfectly happy. There we go. So this is where the batteries go. So that whole bottom part comes off. So the question is, can you game on it? We'll have to see. Let's see what happens here. Let me go pull up the... So Big Man wants me to get some Sony cameras. I have a problem with the speed of the Sony autofocus because I rely on autofocus quite a bit. So I've been actually looking at the Blackmagic Studio cameras. They have a new one now that can output HDMI or can output SDI. And it can do 4K, I think up to 120 frames per second, if not definitely 60. So we'll have to see how that works. Komodo Kaiju bought the 8bitdo SN30 Pro controller. Yeah, I think that's a great controller. I use that a lot. So we have one, I have one Pro controller on the Switch, and then we use the 8bitdo's for all the other stuff. But you know what's funny about this Inspiration 4 mission is that, like, so with the exception of the guy who paid for it, which is the guy Jared Isaacman, with the exception of him, everyone else was selected, right? So, like their year started, to have plans for the fall, the usual stuff, and suddenly, like, now you're going to space. It's kind of a crazy thing. Pretty wild. So getting some questions about 4K. Yeah, I might, it's a matter of whether or not it's worth it. Most of the people are not watching YouTube at 4K. Although I think there's some value, even if you're not watching at 4K, I think the quality of the image, when you down convert to 1080p is better. And I think that'll help for showing details of products. I don't plan to change how I do anything, but I would like to up the resolution just so I have, why not, right? All right, so there was no pairing here because it's infrared. So if I cover the top of it here, nothing happens. But that's it. So let's pop in. Now, my understanding is that this does have a backlight to it. Yeah. So you can't see it on camera. What I'll do? Let me turn the lights off, and we'll see how it works. Actually, I'll do it later. We'll get the other one out of the box and see how that works. But it does have a backlight, which I think is pretty cool. Now let's see what some of these buttons do. So I'm going to hit this one, this TV button. Now, unfortunately, I don't think you can map any of these buttons. There's no way to program this thing. So you can't, like, I would love to be able to assign different apps to different buttons, which I don't think you can do. Let's see if there's a way to map an app. Anyone knows how to do that, like map an app to a button? Because I've got all these buttons here now. We've got numbers and everything else, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up I'm going to go to grab the HD Home Run app and see if we can type numbers in, because we got numbers on here. And let's see what this does. And I think we will try to play a game on it. Why not, right? And why can't I get into the store here? Let's do a search. HD, oops. So yeah, it does map all the buttons properly here. So you might be able to play a game on it. We'll have to see. I mean, it's a remote. I mean, it's not like, excuse me, excuse me. It's not anything crazy, but it does work. But the question for all of you Xbox experts is whether or not you can map an app to load from a button push, because I would love to like set presets. And I am on the network here, so I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, so it's funny. I did have the ability to do that, Patrick. But what happened is when my router blew up again, this was from that video I did a few weeks ago about the ubiquity problems I was having. When my router blew up, it knocked all the smart plugs off the network, and I haven't repaired everything yet. So that is something we have to fix here. So why isn't this thing? Hang on, let me go figure out what's going on with this thing. Let's see what's up. Because if I go to the store, yeah, that's not the right button. Oh, see, so what happens here is that this button looks a lot like this one. So I'm guessing the big remote may not be as useful if you don't use like some of the built-in functions, right? And I will test this with my 360 upstairs and see if it works with that. But yeah, my console is like frozen here. So let me reboot it. And we'll open up the other one while we reboot here. So if I hold down the button, here we go, let's restart console. Yeah, it behaves a lot like it behaves like you would expect it to behave as far as like what the long presses do and everything. So that's pretty neat. So let's take the other one out. Like I said, there's no pairing with these. They all should just work. And I will say these have been growing on me a bit as these Xboxes as media consumption devices, because they have most of the apps on there. In fact, I was watching Apple TV Plus on my Xbox before anything else. All right, let's peel that off. All right. And this is my Series X that I'm running with here. And the design on this one's very similar. I kind of like this one, the white one, better. What I like about it is that the IR window is, check it out. So the IR window here is at the top. It's white. Isn't that cool? And I'll check and see. I think this one's backlit also. And it doesn't light it up until you move it. So it has a little accelerometer in there. And it will light up when you pick it up and move it around. And Jeff Jones is wondering if it uses the same infrared as, I bet it does. Because, somewhere I've got one of the old Xbox 360 media remotes. It came, so when I bought my Xbox 360 back in like 2006 or 5 or whenever it came out, all right, there we go. Let me just check something real quick. So make sure I'm not breaking an embargo here. There was an embargo on these, but I'm pretty sure the embargo lifted today. Yeah, September 15th, that's today. Okay, we're good. At 8 a.m. And now it is, what time is it? It's like 1 o'clock p.m. So we're good. Okay. All right, so this one has less buttons. So basically, you don't get, oh, so this is interesting. This one does not have a play and pause button, the white one. So this one's got like full media controls up here. This one does not have that. So we'll have to play around with a few media apps and see how it works. But unfortunately, what happened was, yeah, like it's not letting me into the store for some reason. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I got to update it. So the last time I booted this thing up was the last time we had anything with an Xbox on the channel, so it's been a while. So let me go into the update section here. And I don't even know what I have on this thing, to be honest with you. Let's see, full library manage, updates. Maybe the store has to get updated. It's definitely on the network because it updated itself earlier. Yeah, it's just a couple of games that have to get updated. Apps. I already have this on here, so let's load that up and see. We'll let that process and see what happens. Let's keep an eye on the SpaceX thing. We got the crew chat in there. Now they haven't fueled it yet, which is why you don't see it. Yes, it looks like they're going to get the crew on in about an hour. So the crew gets in before they fuel it. And then they start fueling about 30 minutes or so before it launches. All right, so let me get this off of the screen before I get a copyright issue. Oops, okay, so I'm going to go to live here. And I'm just going to pull up something that's safer to watch. Now, can I type in? Oh yeah, it works. Oh, that's cool. Here, let me get this going here for a second, and I'll show you how this works. So you can type numbers in on this. And now I'm thinking like it would have been cool to have a slide-out keyboard on this or something like that, right? I'm just going to pull up my local access station or something so I don't get hit with a copyright thing here. What channel are they on? Just give me 1 second. Let me pull up something so I can put on safely. Here we go, public access. All right. So the numbers work. Check it out. So if I go and type in see that I'm typing 2.5. So the numbers totally work on here. That's cool. All right, so that's useful, right? Having that. Now let's see if the play control button's here. So if I hit play pause, yep, it pauses. And likewise, if I were to, so this one doesn't have the play pause control. So if I, yeah, so this will just pull up. That's really interesting, actually. So, I would say the bigger one is probably more useful. Oh, I'm sorry. It's got the play controls down here. So I could pause it and start. So it does have those controls. So what you lose on the little one here is the number pad. But it looks like it's got everything else. Yeah. And it has the channel guide. Now this one's got a couple of extra things. So I guess it's really a matter of whether or not you want buttons. And this one has 2 controls here. So one is for that TV pass-through thing. Who uses that? Because I don't use it. And the other one, let's see what the other button does here. Yeah, this keeps going back. So this is for that pass-through control thing. So I don't know if you can set anything specific here. But let's see if we can game on it. So let's load up a little blazing Chrome here. Let's see what happens. Oh, I don't have, that must have fallen off a Game Pass. Let's try something else. I'm looking to try something that's not like super involved. Why don't we try, yeah, let's see if we can do some Burnout Revenge on here. Oh, I need the game disc for that. I'm trying to avoid having to like download a whole bunch of stuff here. All right, let's do, everything fell off a Game Pass that I was playing. Here, let's do Streets of Rage 4. Needs an update. Of course it does. All right, so let's let that update real quick. We got a pretty fast connection here, so this should download pretty quick. Paul Licata, thank you for the follow on Amazon. And while this is downloading, we'll just take a quick look at what's going on with SpaceX. Yep, so they're getting everything ready here. The spacecraft is ready to go. This is a big deal. You should all watch my video about why this is a big deal. And I did apply for it, but they didn't take me. But that's okay, because I can stream opening up TV remotes. Jeff is wondering, what do the colored buttons do on the main interface? Those are the buttons I would expect to be able to customize. Yeah, so these buttons map to, the colored buttons here, map to X, Y, and A and B on the regular controller. So they don't do anything beyond that. So I don't know if it's possible. We'll see. Because what's funny though is this has all of the buttons you need to like. So like there's a start button here. You got the Xbox button. So let's see if we could actually play the game. I doubt it. Aaron Johnson is here. Let's say hello to some more friends here while we're waiting for stuff to load. Prime is here. Hello to you. Brett is wondering if it will turn on your television. So it will if you have your Xbox configured for HDMI CEC. By the way, here's a cool shot. Isn't that awesome? I was going to go down, but I opted not to for a whole bunch of reasons. Partly because we have like strict quarantine rules here. So if any of the kids got something from me, like they'd be out of school, so it just wasn't worth the risk. All right, so if I hit, yeah, so this doesn't seem to be responding to gameplay here. So let me hit the, yeah, so the remote will not play games, in case you're wondering. Because I'm pushing buttons. So the buttons do map to what would normally map to a controller, and the controller was off a minute ago. Whoops. Let's go back to the game here. So these would map in any other instance other than a game being loaded. And the controller was off before, but now it's not off. It's a temporary network problem. A service outage. Of course there'd be a service outage when I am trying to play this stuff. All right, well, whatever. It doesn't respond to it anyhow, so. Yeah, so that's the controllers. Not much to them. Let me take a look and see if this one... Yeah, so this one is also backlit. So what they do is they'll respond when they are moved. By the way, if you're curious about this mission, look how high they're going. So they are going to fly or orbit slightly higher than the Hubble Space Telescope. So, there's been this whole big debate over these private space systems and how high they actually fly. And here you've got, SpaceX going higher than the space station. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Elon is good at getting high. Yes, he sure is, right? Yeah, so these are not Bluetooth, so they're only going to work with the Xbox. And let's see, let me go through some of the other questions here. Yes, I'll show you the backlighting on them in a second here. Oh, let's try this. So Jeff Jones says, back in devices and connections, they had a panel for remote features. So let's go explore that. I must have some login issue on here. I may wipe this console out and just reinstall everything. All right, let's go over to our settings. That's remote access, that's different. Where is my... I'm always confused by the interface, to be honest with you. All right, so devices and connections, remote features. So this is test remote play. So this is something different. But this, to answer the question about the TV, I could have this turn on the television if I turned on the Xbox. So that's how you would get the TV to turn on. Oh, media remote. Here we go. Oh, wait a second. Choose an app to launch when you press the One Guide. Oh, look at that. So you know what I could do? So you can map it here. So we're going to map this to HD Home Run. But this is the only thing you can control, apparently. So that's cool. So I've got it now set to that. So watch this. If I go, let me go back out to the home screen here. Just back out completely. So if I now hit this button, it loads HD Home Run. That's pretty cool. So I could use my own, I could use this instead of whatever the other thing was. So that's pretty neat. It's running pretty slow though, isn't it? That is very cool. All right, so we did manage to figure that out. And I'm okay on backing up because I have everything up in the cloud with Xbox, so I'm good. I can wipe these things out. No consequences, at least not that I'm aware of. And yeah, so I think there's only one, it looks like there's only one button you can actually configure from what we've seen so far here. So that is this button here. But this one's got like a bunch of other buttons too. So let's go back. Jump into the settings one more time. Yeah, so the only setting I can see here is for media remote, unless they put something somewhere else. Yeah, that's it. This one reminds me a lot of, they often make these retro controllers. This reminds me a lot of the old Xbox 360 media remote. So, Dustin says they're having some login problems. That's definitely what's going on here. See, these things always happen when I am streaming. Now, if you're curious why the SpaceX rocket looks so dirty, it's because they use kerosene for the rocket fuel. And when it comes back down, it's burning its engines to slow down while it's falling, so the soot collects and sticks to the side of the rocket and they don't clean it. But they did paint the capsule. This capsule was the one that went up when the NASA astronauts went back up for the first time. So that's the same exact capsule, except they put a cupola at the top, which will open up when they open the nose cone up there. Pretty cool. All right, back to media remotes. Yeah, so the only thing you can change on here is this, which is what this guide button does. That's it. So let me go back to here. So if I hit that guide button, it loads up HD Home Run. But there's other buttons on this one. So for example, there's a closed caption button here. So let's see if this works with HD Home Run's app. Yeah, it doesn't do anything. And then this button doesn't do anything either. Yeah, so these buttons just don't do anything. But if I go back to the home screen here, let's see what happens if I push the button here. Oh, so you know what happens is that it ends up, let's go back out again. So these just end up going to whatever you set. Yeah, look at that. So all three of these buttons, so this one, and this one will take you to whatever you set up there. So there's very minimal customization, but it would be cool if they allowed for additional customization, because I would love to map different apps to these buttons. Interesting. Jeff is wanting to know, do the number keys work in Plex? Let's find out. Although I don't think I have Plex on this Xbox. Let's see. And I can't log into the Windows store, or the Microsoft store, because it's not working. Oh, there's Plex. Let's see. Let's take a look. And I'm guessing it's going to vary based on the app, right? So that might vary. RS Matrix says, does that cupola open up for fresh air? No, it doesn't do that. You wouldn't have a lot of air left. But what it does do is it has a domed window. It's going to look really cool. So they're going to get some really good video and photos up there. And it's a good thing they all like each other, because you're going to be cooped up in that little tiny capsule for 3 days. And honestly, for me, it was the bathroom that would have I would have had a hard time with the bathroom, because you're in a capsule the size of a bathroom. So, all right. So the numbers are working here. Let's see if they work. So I'm typing 5s in, and it's picking that up. So let's go back to. Yeah, I would have loved for them to have come up with a keyboard. That would have been awesome. So let me go over to my local server here. Oh, I got to sign in so I can find my server. Hang on. So bear with me for 1 second, folks. I got to sign in here. And I will tell you. Lon.TV link. Oh. Okay. All right, so now I'm logged in. Let me go log into my. I had to replace one of my hard drives on my NAS. So my WD MyCloud PR2100, I've had it for, I think I've had it for about 5 years now, and one of the 2 drives went out on it. Okay. So let's go to Live TV and DVR, and we'll go to the channel guide. Mark Smith says worse. Yeah, you know, it's worse and it's better. So it is small. I think it's smaller than the Apollo capsule. I'm pretty sure it is. Certainly, it's smaller when you factor the lunar module that they could also access while they were on the way. But they don't. I don't think they had a bathroom on Apollo. So they were using bags. So there's definitely some improvement in the sense they don't have to use bags. Okay, so I'm typing numbers in on the guide here, and it's not going anywhere. So let me see if I tune into this channel, if I can type a number in while it's live. Let's see. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Eric's Variety Channel. Much appreciated. I'll get some space coffee. That might be kind of fun. Yeah, so I'm typing numbers in. Oh, it's doing something here. Let's see. I think I just paused it. So I'm typing numbers in now, but that's not registering within Plex. Yeah. So it doesn't look like it's going there. Let's see if I can do the browse here and see if I can search that way. Yeah, the numbers don't do anything in Plex. But they do work on the HD Home Run app. So I guess it's going to vary. And RS Matrix says, yeah, you could probably easily get a keyboard. Oh, there's plenty of those. You're right. But I just like so I have, let me go find it real quick, because I have this awesome remote that I bought a while ago that I think is very relevant to this discussion. Actually, I didn't buy it. It was sent to me. Did I buy it? No, I think maybe I did buy this one. I can't remember. I got to see if I still have it over here. I do have it somewhere. I reviewed it a long time ago. It's called the Pepper Jobs remote. And it was over here. Let's see. I have some bubble wrap there making that sound. Where did I put it? Like everything, things disappear around here. But I had this Pepper Jobs remote, which is really slick. It was designed not for the Xbox, though. It works with Windows. So it's like a good like home theater PC remote. Yeah, I can't find it right now. But it had like a keyboard integrated into the bottom of it. And then it had a gyroscope, so you could use it as a mouse, which was really cool. But I don't know where it went. But yeah, these are good. I mean, they're basic transportation. Let's take a look at the backlighting on it and see where it goes. Mark Smith is wondering, do you need both? No, you don't need both. It's one or the other. So they have just two different versions, one with numbers and one without. So it's up to you which one you want. The price delta between the two is about $5. So the big one is $25. The white one is $20. Oh, here's something. John Fuller says there is an app that allows you to fully customize your Xbox controller buttons via the Xbox Accessories app. Oh, Xbox Accessories. Let's see if we can get into the store, because it wasn't letting me in before. Yeah, it's still not letting me in. I will look for that app, because that sounds like it might be kind of fun. All right, so when they fix that, we will check it out. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to turn the lights off, set a mood, and we're going to see how these things light up. So turn that light off. I'll turn this light off. I might want to record some B-roll of this so I don't have to do it later. All right, now it's dark. And now let's see what happens if I don't trip over something here. Let's see if you can see it when we move them. They should light up, and you should be able to see them lighting up. So I'm picking it up. Can you see it? Oh, I got to get the overhead shot. Well, it's definitely lighting up, but my camera's not seeing it. So let me get a little more. There we go. It looks a lot better. I'm gonna have to shoot this with my phone because it looks fine. It's just that it isn't seeing it. So we tried, but it does work. So the backlighting is really nice on it, and the backlighting will work when you move it. So if you nudge it a little bit, it will light up. So they do have backlighting. All right, so what I'll do then is I will look, thanks to John's comment, for that app. Let me see if I can get it to install remotely. Maybe I'll log in through their Xbox store. But I think that Inspiration 4 is going today. The weather looks fine. So as long as they don't have any issues with the hardware, the weather is like 90% go now, I think. So they are in good shape. Yeah, the whole Microsoft store is down. I can't even connect to it. So I'm going to make a note on that. So thank you, John, for your suggestion. Because then I could really customize it. Because I'm trying to think of like, how do you fill up the time? Because these are just remote controls, but they're cool. They're kind of retro. They remind me a lot of the old Xbox 360 controls. So what I need to investigate on this, let me make a note here, is the Xbox accessories app. We need to look at that. I need to, let's see. Give me 1 second here, folks. I need to look at that. I need to look at Eric's Variety. Oh yes, Eric's Variety Channel. It is the Pepper Jobs W10, exactly. That one's pretty cool. And Anthony corrects me. The command module of the Apollo was smaller than Dragon. And I forgot, Dragon has that whole section below the chairs, right? So they've got a lot more room there. So they can spread out a little bit more. And they're going to be up for 3 days. David's wondering, does this allow for picture-in-picture? So the remote doesn't on its own, but I do believe the Xbox supports that. If you use that cable box thing, which I don't use that, so I don't know if it will do picture-in-picture or not, but it won't add any functionality. Bonnie Lopez, big fan, thank you. Yeah, so once the Xbox store comes back, we'll try it out. Because right now it is down. Like I cannot even connect to it. Oh, now it's back. Okay, so let's see if we can find it here. This is called the Xbox Accessories app. Let's see. I might have that already. Let's see. Okay, so I got my 1X here. Install. Okay, so it's going to try to install on that. Let's see if it shows up. But it looks like it might just be for the actual game controllers and not for anything else. But let's see if it pops into my apps here. There it is. So let's see what this does. Yep, it does not work with these controllers. Yep, so it looks like it's just controllers, so that's not going to work. And I also need to note, it doesn't work for games. Demo backlighting, 360, okay. Yeah, I'm going to try this with the Xbox 360 upstairs in a little while. Mark is asking, where do they take off from? So they are leasing space at the Kennedy Space Center. So actually, where the pad that SpaceX has access to, if you go and look at go to Lon.TV/NASA maybe. I'm trying to see what my play. Yes. So if you go to, actually maybe SpaceX. Hang on, Lon.TV/SpaceX. Yes. No. That's the wrong one. Hang on a second. Let me find my Falcon Heavy. So I'm going to show you all what the pad looks like. So they are using the same pad that the Apollo lifted off from. And we went there, actually, a couple of years ago. Here, let me pull this up for you so you can see. NDI. Yes, I think I've got everything I need to shoot a quick review on these controllers tomorrow, which I plan to do. And yes, so give me 1 second. I'm just going to turn off my notifications here. Okay. So here was where we watched the Falcon Heavy from. And so this is pad 39A. So this is the same pad that the Apollo and the Space Shuttle missions first lifted off from. And this is the Falcon Heavy, which is the Falcon 9 that's taken these private astronauts up. So this is 3 of those strapped together, essentially. And so we did catch that one. This is definitely worth watching. I had a really good time on this trip. These are always fun to do. I don't get the best traffic on these things. Like, this video certainly cost me more to make than I earned in ad revenue, but this is the labor of love part of what I do. And I can show you, yes, here's the launch pad tour. So that's the arm that they're going to walk through. And they had just constructed that when we went down to see that Falcon Heavy launch, because this was April of 2019 that we went down. And so that's what the astronauts walk through. One of these days, I'm going to get a tour in there. I really want to go see the launch pad. I had an opportunity to go see the shuttle on the pad, and I had something come up work-wise, and I couldn't get down. It killed me, because I saw some friends that went. They just had the most amazing pictures from that. NASA just opened up everything to the press right at the end of the program. But they let us get pretty close to it. Like, we were, within the perimeter gates there. And then, they do everything right at the pad. So you see those rocks behind me here? That is a crawler track. So they have, you've probably seen that big space shuttle thing where the space shuttle is like wheeled out to the pad. So they would bring the space shuttle vertically integrated out from the vehicle assembly building, and also the Apollo rockets, and the upcoming moon rocket's going to go the same way. And this was one of the 2 tracks for that. And let's see if I scroll, if the camera pans over. Because what it would do is it would go down that way, it would turn, and then it would go up that hill. So you see where that little golf cart is going right on the side there? It would go up the hill with the space shuttle on it, and they'd have to adjust the angle of the platform as they went up. And so what SpaceX does is they construct them inside of these little buildings. That building right there is where the rockets are basically prepped for flight. And then all they have to do is go from here to there. And so they have like a little train track thing that they just pull them up the hill there and then vertically integrate them. So what they do when they're on the ground, rather than have a big, huge building, they turn the rocket. So they move it, horizontally, essentially. They leave it horizontal, and they just rotate it to get at different parts that they need. And this was one of the original Falcon 9s before they would recover them. That was from one of their other buildings. And this is the blue, you'll see this in a second here. This is is it pulling it up here? I must have went past it. So this is the Blue Origin building. They're not too far from there also. Isn't that cool? So I've been to 5 launches now. So I've saw the last 3 space shuttle launches and 2 SpaceX launches. And I was down for another SpaceX launch, but they weren't able to get it off the ground before I had to go back home. But And what happens a lot of times with these too is that you've got weather, you've got mechanical issues, you got all sorts of stuff that happens. So it's very hard to plan because you end up having to wait a little bit. But yeah, we did have fun on that trip. And so I went with a good friend of mine. So you've probably seen my friend Antonio mentioned occasionally in my videos. So he's often somebody who has fun on these trips. So he came down with me for the SpaceX thing. And you know what he did? He coerced me into renting a Corvette for the weekend. That was a lot of fun. We had this it was one of those souped up Corvettes, because my credit card has like a free upgrade. Like no matter what car you get, you can upgrade up from that. So when we get there, the guy starts with the upselling. I never do the upselling, but they hand you this little placemat, this laminated card. And on the card is a bunch of different cars you can choose from. And every one of the cars is black on the paper. And then there's a yellow Camaro, like in the middle. It looks like Bumblebee from the Transformers. So my buddy says to me, ooh, why don't we get the Camaro? And I said, nah, it's an extra $20 a day. I don't want to do it. And the guy behind the counter now, smelling blood in the water, says, for the price of the Camaro, I can put you in the Corvette. And after that, like, I couldn't talk him out of it, because he was just like, we got to do the Corvette. I'll split it with you. So we got the Corvette. And the problem, though, is that they kept pushing the launch date back, and they don't let you extend the Corvette's rental time because it's an exotic or something, according to them. So it was a whole nightmare. But it was fun to have a Corvette. And what was nice about it was actually what was kind of cool about it. And if you look at the video, there's one shot where we have a GoPro stuck to the side of the Corvette, because the Corvette is what the original Mercury astronauts were driving around in. Remember, they all had their own Corvettes, so we were driving a Corvette onto NASA. It was very that was how it played out. Hey, Brian Parker is here. Brian Parker, I've been dying to go back to get another steak at that restaurant. We should take Doug out again. We took our friend Doug out to us. I hadn't been out to a restaurant forever, so we went out to eat. Oh, look, they're getting suited up now. So now they're in a SpaceX facility, not at NASA. And now they're getting their spacesuits ready. You guys, if you haven't seen it, Netflix has a whole documentary on this. So they've got 4 episodes up now. And all of the pressure suits that they use for launch and landing are custom made for each astronaut. And they have a little mock-up of the chair. Now you'll note on the chair there are 4 patches, and I believe that symbolizes the 4. Have they launched 4 now? I think the Crew Dragon has launched 4 times now. Yeah, so they're ready to go. And they only started training in January, I think. Was it No, actually, no, it was March. That's right, because the contest was in March. The contest deadline was the end of February. By the second week of March, they had announced who the winners were. That's right. So it was good. Judah Mendoza is here. Hello. Yeah, I'm streaming a little later than usual today, so that's why we were just playing around with these remotes. But I've been watching this SpaceX launch of the private space mission. So I had applied for this. I think many of you know that I did that. So we have you can watch my video. It's still up. So I did make the donation to St. Jude and hope maybe I'd randomly get picked. But I also did the entrepreneurial one for the prosperity seat. But I did not get selected, and that's fine. I would have loved to have gone. It would have been awesome. But I'm really happy. Honest to God, I'm really happy for who they picked, because the woman that won that prosperity seat, her name is Dr. Sion Proctor. She's awesome, and I knew she was awesome before this, but then the Netflix thing, like, you really get her. She's great. So I'm so happy that she was the one that got it. I would have picked her too, to be honest with you. She was definitely the best entrant, like, honestly, across the board. Best person I would have picked. And what's inspiring about her story is that she was a finalist to be a NASA astronaut. So she got through, like, the application phase, the interviews, whatever they go through. And then there was, like, one more part of the process that she had to go through to be selected. And that's where she didn't get it. So you know, that was like 12 or 13 years ago for her, so she thought it was all done, and there you go. So I'm happy for her. I'm excited for her. I think she's definitely, out of the 150 of us that applied, she was, I think, the most qualified for sure, and had a good, inspiring story too. So, and what she's bringing up with her, her father was a self-taught engineer. He taught himself calculus and everything he needed to do to work at NASA. He got a job at NASA, I think, when he was 20 years old. And her father was working on Guam, where she was born. And he was in charge of a tracking station on Guam, and he helped figure out where Apollo 11 was on its way back or whatever. And when the astronauts returned, they did a tour of all the different sites that supported the mission, and they came to Guam, and her father got an autograph from Neil Armstrong, and she's taking that autograph up with her on the flight. Her brother in Australia had it, and she had to get him to leave Australia to bring it over. It's pretty cool. So I got some folks popping in on Amazon. I have Red Hornet and Isabel Cochran. Yeah, we're just kind of doing a random stream today. I was just playing with these media remotes that I got in free of charge, in full disclosure, from 8bitdo. These are really simple. They're just basic infrared remotes for the Xbox, and I do have to test them out with the Xbox 360. But they're, you know, it's funny. I was thinking, like, why is 8bitdo making remote controls? But, you know, these are kind of retro now, because 8bitdo makes retro remote controls. And I was thinking, you know, these are kind of retro because this is sort of what the media remotes on the Xbox 360 looked like. Because back then they were Windows Media Center extenders. And that's how I got started with the HD Home Run stuff. So it's neat. And Bonnie says, what an interesting, yeah, she's super cool. I'm, like I said, like, you know, I was surprised there were so few of us. I didn't think I had a shot at it to begin with, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm like, I'll do it. What the heck? You know, it's not going to happen, but I'll put my thing in. And what was like crazy was I put my entry in, and lo and behold, not many people were entering. You know, so I'm like, oh, this is weird. And then when I was checking the rule was you had to submit the video on Twitter. You could put it in other places, but it had to be on Twitter. And throughout like the whole week that the video was up, when you searched for the Inspiration 4 term, I was like number 3 or 4 on the trending for that topic. It wasn't trending on Twitter, but it was trending for that topic. So I'm like, holy crap. Like I was right up there with her. Like the video was like there the whole week that this was going on. And then they reached out to me because I had used music I never use music for my videos, but I had music in the video for the pitch video. And they wrote to me before the contest ended saying, hey, great entry. Can you take the music out and resubmit it? So I'm thinking like, woo, this is getting kind of crazy because now they're reaching out to me, asking me to fix the entry. And I, you know, I'm like, I'm high on the list. You know, it could happen. Who knows? I obviously it didn't, but I was like, wow. So, but, you know, I would have totally picked Dr. Proctor without question. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I think she's the right choice for sure. And one of these days, somebody will. If one of these contests happen again, I'm all in. You can pluck me out of my basement, send me to orbit. I was surprised how many people were eager to get me off the planet. So I don't know if I should take it personally or not, but it was good. So yeah, so I'm like bummed out that, you know, we're reviewing remote controls today and not blasting off to space, but I'm actually really excited for the people that are going because I think they're all good people. And what I like most about what they're doing with this is that, you know, Jared, the guy who's paying for it, he could have just brought his buddies with him for the ultimate buddy adventure. But instead, he invited 3 normal people, 2 of whom were just selected, not at random, but were select. Well, one was random. So that's Dr. Proctor right there. The young woman you just saw before, she is a physician's assistant, a PA, at the St. Jude Children's Hospital. And she has a prosthesis in her leg because she is a bone cancer survivor. So she was a patient at St. Jude. And she grew up wanting to work there. Jared's the guy that's paying for the flight. He's a billionaire. He owns fighter jets. And by the way, you see those North Face sweatshirts, they sent me one. So I got one of those. I have it upstairs. I'll go get it real quick. Yeah, I'll show you some of the swag they sent me. And I'll answer Laurel's question in just a second. Hey, Laurel, you know what's funny? So to Laurel's question about the stream locator, the review is going up tonight. I sent it up to Amazon also. I did do the MLB, and it did work in the blackout of the MLB games. So I was able to watch, I went up to my mother's place, and I was able to watch the Yankees and Mets game. But I had to reinstall the app. So I had to reinstall it on, give me a second here. I had to reinstall it while it was connected to the stream locator, and then it worked. Yeah, let me just grab what they sent here. There was a few other things also. I just can't find them right now, but I'll show you the two nicest things I think that I got. And then apparently, they're flying a bunch of challenge coins up, and they're sending us one of those too. So I'll get like a coin that flew in space. How cool is that? There was one other thing, because they sent over a mission patch that you can attach to your clothing. I don't know where that went. See, what happens is I leave things on the table, and then my wife puts them away, and I never can find them again. And it's my fault because I never clean up after myself or pick up after myself. But yeah, so let me show you the two things that I have been. Actually, maybe it's in here. Yep, here it is. Okay. There's some other stuff that they sent too, but these are the. So they sent over, here's what they sent. So I got a hat. This is nice. It's like a trucker style hat. I used to wear these when I played Little League when I was a little kid. These are the kind of hats we got, the trucker style. So I thought that was a nice hat. And then there was some other stuff too. I got a T-shirt, which is somewhere, which is nice, but this stuff is the nicest stuff. So then this is the mission patch. It's Velcro. And this one isn't, this one is not embroidered. And then, this was what I was most excited about, because I was not expecting any of this stuff. And they sent over this, which is, this is the same North Face zip-up sweatshirt. Here, I'll put it on. This is the same one that they had the crew wore. So it's a little big on me. This is a medium also, which is surprising, but it's nice and warm. So it might shrink a little bit when, get my microphone out of here. So, but it's nice, right? You got the Inspiration 4 logo over here, and then on the back, they have a St. Jude's logo, because that's the beneficiary. So if the mission happens to get delayed, I will obviously stream it tomorrow or the next day whenever they go again. But I think the only thing that would stop it tonight is some kind of malfunction. And SpaceX has been getting very good with their hardware. They generally don't have mechanical issues anymore. But look at the embroidery on this. Look how nice this is. I mean, it's obviously done by machine, but look how nice that is. Very detailed. So yeah, it's some really nice swag. So they did a nice job with this. So I'm excited for it. You know what's interesting though is that there's not a lot of interest in this. You know, like you look on Netflix, it's not, you know, it's not, it's not buzzing on Netflix on the top 10. You would think, it's kind of an inspiring story. Because this is not just another billionaire joy. I mean, it is for one of them, but I mean, it's not a billionaire joyride for the. These are normal people. And the guy that won randomly, he just made a donation. So, it's like one of those Omaze things where you can win the car. Well, this was like winning a $50 million trip to space. So it's pretty cool. Sally says, my husband claims the same reason. The reason stuff is laying around is because it's easier to get to. That's exactly it. So what my wife does is she piles it up in a box, and it sits on the floor for a week, and then it ends up down here, which is why this room is such a mess. She just hauls it down here. That was like, after our second daughter was born, everything that I had spread out across upstairs was moved down here. So now what they're doing, they're going to be boarding in about a half an hour. Now I have friends that went to the launch pad the time that I couldn't go. There is a bathroom at the top. So if you got to go, you go there. And I would totally do that. Cinnamon Wilson wants to know, is it Shield compatible? I don't think so. I'm going to point it at a bunch of stuff and find out, but I don't believe it works with the Shield. Although you might, I don't think it does. I can try to find out. Whatever works with the Xbox remotes will work with this. And Anthony wants to know, I'm assuming what did my wife think about the space thing? So I don't think she would have been crazy about me doing it. I think it would have been harder on the girls because my daughter, that would have been hardest for me was leaving the kids. But my wife and I have been together for 21 years, and she knows that when I want to do something, I'm going to do it. So, so she kind of, I haven't done anything that crazy, like going to space here, but I would have, I've always wanted to do it. Even when I was a kid, I just was into it. It's just that my academic interests did not align with what NASA requires for astronauts. So that was what was exciting about this, is because, there wasn't that qualification. So I just didn't have the desire to go into one of those fields, not that I think it's, the engineering and math and everything else are really important fields to go into, but it wasn't my interest. So, and that's all, NASA will only look for people with those degrees. Even not if you're coming from the military, you kind of need that background in the military. So now they are driving, I'm trying to see where they are. I think they might be around the Cape Canaveral Air Station there, I'm not sure. And of course they're driving around in Model X's, right? So Luis Lozano wants to know on the back to the remote controls. Oh, they're already there. Look at that. They're driving right up. So they must get them ready inside that building that we saw before. So does the number pad work to change channels in cable streaming apps? So it did work in the HD Home Run app that I use. So, and it did not work in Plex. So I think it's going to depend on whether or not the app allows for numeric entry. If it does, it will work. And I know that's not a helpful answer. So I will try to find a few other cable streaming apps, because the only other one I would have access to is Comcast, but I'll check that out. And here they're, oops, I just paused it. Here they're pulling up to the pad now in their Model X's. Isn't that cool? Yeah, they pull right up there. And there's elevators there, and then they take you up, I forgot how high, and then you got to go up a couple of set of stairs there as well. But I'll tell you, they got to be pretty nervous here. And the worst part is that you get in there. Now look how many hours it is until launch. So you are sitting, they're going to be strapped in for about 2 hours before it even happens. So Sally wants to know, in my opinion, has the Xbox become more like the complete media center that they envisioned, that Gates envisioned? I think it has. I think it has. Mostly because the apps run on it, right? So, I remember when I was, getting, I was finishing up For All Mankind, and I did not have anything plugged into my television that could play Apple TV Plus except for the Xbox. So it supports most of the streaming apps. Although that support has increased quite a bit. So my NVIDIA Shields now can do Apple TV Plus now too. And here they are. Pretty cool stuff. And I guess it's hard to bend in those suits, so that's why they look kind of weird bending around on them. But they are on the ground floor now, so they're going to head up there. And then the people in black are what are called the SpaceX ninjas. They're the ones that get everybody strapped in to fly. And my kids just got home, so I got to run in a few minutes here. So the guy on the far right is the one that won the contest. And then you see that guy with the camera to the left? So he was one of the other people that entered, and they ended up hiring him as the photographer. And Dr. Proctor is on the left. Haley Arsenault is next to her. And you got Sombrowski there, and then Isaacman there. Pretty cool. They're going. Hopefully they're going. Yeah, like I said, if they rarely now have mechanical issues, so they go. But yeah, so they are. So 2 of the 4 are contest winners, and one of them was picked by St. Jude, and she's an employee there and also a former patient. And I guess they go up 2 at a time in the elevator. So the first 2 are going in. So Dr. Proctor and Arsenault are going up first. And so Isaacman paid for the flight. And the guy with the camera, again, is one of the people that entered. So he was also in the Prosperity contest with the rest of us, and he takes really nice pictures of rockets, so he became the photographer. He's had quite an adventure, because he's gotten to go along with them for training. He's been in the fighter jets. So yeah, Isaacman owns fighter jets, too, by the way. He's got a lot of money. And Lon Dog's a little confused. Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been bouncing around a little bit. We are watching a live video while broadcasting. So they're going to orbit for 3 days and then come back down. Although they have been training since the end of March, I believe. And there's, you would think there's a lot of training to do, but there's actually not as much as you'd think, because they're not docking with the space station. They're not doing any crazy experiments. They're not doing any spacewalks. So they just needed to learn the bare minimum of the spacecraft, which is mostly automated. And it either goes up or it comes down. Like, that's all it does. So it goes up, and then you obviously have some orbital maneuvers you have to do to get it into the right position. But for the most part, it goes up automated. Once it's up there, it'll orbit until you do something to make it come down. And everything that they do with it is automated. You don't actually fly this thing from the ground at all. I would imagine there are probably some manual controls somewhere, but really if anything goes wrong, they just separate the capsule and it flies off. So it has a built-in escape rocket system. They're called the Super Dracos, I believe. And what those will do, there's actually a video of them testing that system. It's pretty crazy, because they fired it off. Same capsule that they're launching in today, just a different physical one, but the same design. So they launched it. And then what they did is they shut the engines down to simulate an engine failure. And the capsule fires its own rockets and separates. And the aerodynamic forces caused the lower rocket to explode. It was a pretty cool scene. But yeah, they'll be up for 3 days. Anthony Bianco was wondering, what kind of blast barriers are up there in case of emergency? So I think what would happen, I'm not sure about the glass on the doors. SpaceX made they kept the shuttle's tower, and they kind of branded it more SpaceX-y, so they added some components to it. There's a lot of vibration from the launches there, so I would imagine they've got some kind of plexiglass or some really strong glass there. But nobody is in there. So what happens is once they are put onto the capsule, everyone clears out. So the only people that are near it are the astronauts in it. And that escape system can actually fire from the ground. So if something goes wrong, like if it, God forbid, it blows up or there's a fire, they can actually fire the capsule off the top and fire it into the ocean. It's got enough lift that it can go high enough to get the parachutes to work. So it's it's by far a once in a lifetime experience. I'm thinking that it's going to become less of one, as things come down in price, right? Like, you couldn't have done this 10 years ago, but now you can. So none of these people are trained NASA astronauts. I guess the closest one would be Dr. Sion Proctor, who had gone through initial NASA training. And yeah, I would totally go for 3 days versus a trip to Mars. I would actually pick the orbital track over the moon. I mean, I would go to the moon if I knew you'd come back. You know, like you're not just the first one to go in a while. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, they'll do about 45 orbits, at least. So you orbit every 90 minutes. Yeah, they should do one where you hold on to the space capsule for they should have you like dangling off the side of it. That would be kind of fun. So yeah, so they are going to get boarded. There's a phone up there too. You can make your last phone calls and everything else. So, but I think it's really, you know, compared to the space shuttle, this is much safer, like significantly safer, because there are ways to get out of it even after it launches. The space shuttle had no escape plan at all. Once it lifted off, they had ejection seats on the first 3 missions, but they took them out because there's no way you know if you'd ejected at that height and speed, it wouldn't be good. So Jeff Jones has a good point here. By the way, back to the topic at hand, regarding cable streaming apps, YouTube TV and DirecTV do not have channel numbers, so the numbers will only work with an app that has channel numbers and supports the entering of numbers. So I may want to make a note of that. Ed Horde wants to know, will they be up? Yes, in fact, they'll be up long enough to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 days. And if the weather's bad, they could be up longer. So this is like the best way to describe this is kind of like an old school space shuttle mission where they used to go up for a couple of days and do experiments, but stay on the shuttle, not dock with the station. This is kind of what they're doing, but they're doing it at a much higher altitude. So they're going to see more of the Earth than most of the shuttle astronauts did, with the exception of the ones that went to the Hubble. And what are they going to eat? I don't know. I'm sure they've got some space food similar to what NASA uses. You can see how high they are. And there is a bathroom on the capsule at the top. So what you have to do is float up to the top, and now in space there's no up or down, but if you were on Earth, the bathroom is upside down on the ceiling. And there's a little curtain that closes. But they're only dealing with it's a very small space. So yeah, you're going to be, that's the one thing that made me a little nervous, was the bathroom part. Here they go. And again, that's Dr. Proctor there on the left, and that's Haley Arsenault on the right. And one of the traditions at NASA, and actually I got to do this, when I saw this, I went and visited the space shuttle. They have these white rooms both on the pad but also on the ground. And the tradition is that you get to sign your name on the wall every time you the first time you enter the spacecraft. So I went on Discovery, and so she's signing next to the SpaceX part, not the NASA part, because she's not a NASA astronaut. So when I boarded Space Shuttle Discovery, just as a visitor, I got to sign the white wall, and it's up, for posterity. It's pretty cool. I should have a picture of that somewhere. Let me see where I can find it. And I have a feeling that this will be the first of many that will be going to the space station, or going on SpaceX private flights. SpaceX really is its own space program now. It's pretty crazy. Here, let me see if I can find the picture. I had that picture somewhere. I can't find it now. That stinks. I'll show you sort of what it looked like. So this was, and they're going through the same process, by the way, that the NASA, this is exactly the same process for NASA astronauts. It's the same crewed mission profile there. And she is sitting, Arsenault is sitting all the way on the far end of the capsule. So she's on the far right facing forward. And Dr. Proctor is in one of the two middle seats. But this was the white room going into Space Shuttle Discovery. I got another picture of this somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Because I know I had a picture of it. Here it is. Oh, that's not it. Hang on a second. Space Shuttle Media Day. It's like a whole album of pictures that I had put up. Here it is. Okay, so here is me going into Discovery. And so I signed the ceiling, because there was obviously the space shuttle had been worked on there for many, many years. But every person that ever went inside got to sign their name, including, I was like, really, I get to sign it? Like, yep, that's the tradition. Everybody that goes in can sign their name. So that's what I did. That's the flight deck. And what's funny is the front, that's my friend Matt that went with me. So the front of the flight deck is the Earth part, and the back part is the space part. But I took that picture. This is the space part back there. That's how you maneuvered it in space. You see that joystick there? That would control the thrusters and stuff. And that is so they replaced the tires after every landing, but that was the tire from the last landing. That's where it hit. Because it lands at like 200 knots or something. Like they land like twice the speed of an airliner. And then they said to us, like, before you go in, everything that you're bringing with you has to be attached to you in some way. So I had to, like, wear everything. But it was pretty cool. Those are all the computers. And then this was they have a ladder there to get up to the flight deck, but obviously they didn't use that in space because you didn't need the ladder. You just floated up. So there was a mid-deck, which was where everybody slept, and then there was a flight deck. Isn't that cool? That's the real space shuttle. That's Space Shuttle Discovery. It's so wild. Yeah, I flew down for just that day. I went down in the morning and came back at night, but I was like, I have to do this. Like, how many chances do you get to go inside the space shuttle? So that was really fun. And they had taken out the orbital maneuvering thrusters there because they're use hypergolics and stuff. All right, so you see on the left there, next to the NASA meatball, those are all the NASA astronauts that have flown on it, and now the SpaceX astronauts are signing their name. Gotta be so exciting. And this guy is just like, he's a random guy. Made a donation, won the lottery, and he's going to space. And there's the commander, Jared Isaacman, the guy that's paying the bill. So they are going in. And you can see those are the NASA astronauts. And there's more that signed it than have flown because I think they've done dress rehearsals up there. So actually, maybe there's enough because there have been 3 crewed flights now. Maybe that is the right number. That could be. This is cool. All right, everybody. You can watch on. You know what you should do is I got a jet because I have to make dinner for everybody. But head over to NASA Spaceflight and check out their stream. They do some great work. And it's funny, actually, to Lon.Dog's point here, and then I got to run. They were designed by Hollywood costume designers. They are functional. They're functional pressure suits, but they were designed by a Hollywood costume designer. So good stuff. Yeah, these are more pressure suits than G suits. That's correct. So, yeah, I would be excited. They've been working. They've been training like nonstop since the end of March. So this is like, kind of seeing the last of their, everything they've worked towards to get up there. So, all right. Okay, everybody, got to run. There's hungry children upstairs. But I will, if I'm able to, so I probably am not going to be able to stream the launch tonight. That's why I want you to go check out NASA Spaceflight's channel. But if they have a delay and they go tomorrow or the next day, we'll definitely have a live stream. So there he is. He's ready to go. Pretty cool. Amazing. All right. I will catch you all very soon. And Shana Tova to my friends who are celebrating Yom Kippur this evening. So have a good fast. Repent your sins. And we'll catch you all later on, okay? And thank you to Eric's Variety channel for the super chat. Much appreciated. All right. But yeah, hit that thumbs up, everybody, and be sure to check out NASA Spaceflight because they've got a great stream. That's my friend Chris Gephardt, who I see when I go down to the space flights. So good stuff. All right, everybody, we will be back again before you know it. Bye-bye.